Hi everyone. So I finished the training today. I couldn't get into my email this morning. I had problems. So the good thing is that when we do these virtual conferences, we can actually go back and replay the sessions. I only was able to join in around 1 p.m. So I will go back and do that now. I have to do the 2 hours for the morning, and then I can log my points. But they're nice conferences. Usually I do try to go downtown, but because I don't have any money, I decided to just do it from home, do it virtually. And yeah, it's a good conference. I think the thing is that for me, because I came here from a racialized context, it makes it interesting because you're not treated like a human being in Canada. You're treated like you're an animal. You're treated like, the organization comes first and the business needs comes first. And they were saying, like, you can't bring your whole self to work. And I agree with that. You can't bring your whole self to work. Because the managers that promoted that kind of thinking and that kind of idea, many of them are retired. Many of them are people who dealt with global teams, so they dealt with teams in other parts of the world and diverse cultures. They're not condescending like the managers that we have running the banks and places like that now. And it was a good session this afternoon. So this afternoon we looked at the Human Rights Code. And the reason that Canada has to have a human rights code is because people who are not white and who come from different cultures, different backgrounds and all that, they're treated as subhuman. They're treated like, you don't know, we know better than you. So they had to have a basic framework to say that you can't discriminate based on the factors that they mention. Some of them are like age, religion, place of origin, place of birth, things like that. It doesn't work because most of the time it's very subjective. They went through different case laws, and the thing is that it's very much dependent on who happens to hear your case if you take a case to the tribunal. Because some of the case law, like if it's to do with wearing the hijab or wearing your crucifix, sometimes they'll tell the Christian you can't wear your crucifix, but they'll tell the Muslim people you can wear your hijab. So it's very subjective, that's what I would say. And then also looking at disability, if you discriminate, even not realizing it, and you've let people go and there's a disability involved, the company can be fined and the company can get into problems based on that. LGBT is another one. So there was a case where somebody wanted to wear a sticker to work. As a volunteer, and they told him you can't because it's a policy that applies to everyone. So I was like, no, they should allow them to wear it. It's discrimination. But the outcome of that case was that it's not discrimination. So again, it's very subjective in my opinion, because they're basically applying a blanket policy. It's like, you can't wear that sticker because we're not allowing anybody to wear stickers. And this is the same way that they treat the Christians in the workplace. So for example, at Teleperformance, I wanted Christmas off. And they said to me, no, you can't have it off because it's based on business needs and we don't have anyone to swap with you. So I said to them, it's one day of the year. Like, I've missed a lot of religious holidays. I've missed Good Friday. I've missed Easter. I need this day off. I'll even take it unpaid. So they contacted the client, who happened to be Sprint, and they said, oh no, then okay, we'll do something for Christmas, you can give it to her off. Another campaign, they said no. So they shut down the whole office because I needed Christmas off. They were not willing to give it. So they said, okay, so we're not giving it because you want it, but we're going to close the whole office. And this is how I get treated in Canada. And then they looked at the duty to collaborate. So for example, if there's somebody that has childcare duties and you look at the options and there's no possible option that works and you've tried everything, then they consider that to be following due process and they then terminate the contract based on that. So the process matters. When you're looking at how you treat people, teleperformance is very punitive. So in Canada, that's not favored. They don't like a disciplinary approach. It has to be more about being kind and being inclusive and trying to help the employee to improve, to be collaborative. And they said keep fairness as your North Star. But what is fair, right? So context is very important because people are coming here from different backgrounds and cultures. And this is what is happening in the UK as well. Men are coming in from North Africa and they're saying in our culture it's fair to rape a woman, to have orgy parties, to do all kinds of things, which in our Western countries is unfair. And I think that's where integration becomes important and educating people as to what do you think is fair and where are those values coming from. Because those practices are not acceptable to me and they're not acceptable in the Canadian context. And it's important to remember that. And best practices for implementing it. It's important to have open discussions to build trust, connect your personal and professional experiences, and to respect people's privacy. That's one of the things that, like I was mentioning, Bono's team decided to start telling everybody Bono likes me. It's got nothing to do with them as far as I'm concerned. But since it was taken to Jean Augustine and Justin Trudeau and all these people, I'm like, you know what, whatever. I don't care. If you want to tell people Bono loves me, that's fine. But I'm not going to sit on volunteer calls where we are discussing how much Bono loves me, because that's not the purpose behind being on the calls. And then knowledge, information, and resources need to be provided to educate people as to what DEI is. And evidence can only be provided if we have it. The policy can be inadequate, but policies will always be inadequate. You can't rely on the policy. You have to be implementing the right values in your workplace. That's what I think. And then the last session, the closeout session, we looked at representation, obligation, and suspicion. When we look at representation, it's about how we're collecting information to see where we need to improve. We're looking at oppression, so that's anybody that's non-white. People who are non-white have basically been oppressed, whether you're Black, Indigenous, Indian, because the white man is the one that had the most opportunities, the most salaries, the best education. Everybody else came second to that and was treated like an animal. So we need to be included, valued, and celebrated. For obligation, we can look at individual responsibilities. And if you're asking people to do the work on DEI, you have to give them time to build it into the day. You can't burn them out and say this is a project on the side and you have to do it after hours. That's not fair to your employees. IDEA work has always been about promoting merit, so everybody is treated equally and fairly. We need to move away from the lie that we should bring our whole selves to work. Because when we go into work, and this is what the presenter said, when we go into work, we are doing the work. We're there to hold a certain image. We're there to hold a certain value. So I've worked with people where I brought my whole self to work, but those people are gone. And so I think if people set the expectations of what the company wants, whether it's dress code or how to be in the workplace, I think that helps people a lot. Those days of me being myself, I don't do it anymore. There's very few people I'm myself with, and I know who they are, and they know who I am. We need to move away from exclusion, and we can cause exclusion and we can experience it. So voluntarily or involuntarily, we can deliberately leave people out, and we have to be aware of that. We need to move from interventions to systems, where we have systems in place that can easily pick up what's happening and help to improve things. Sometimes if a company is working well, you don't have to have that if you already have the systems. But if you're looking at putting out fires, that burns people out. And that's one of the problems that I have with Canada. And the last thing is to shut out suspicion. So when things are different, when people are different, it always results in suspicion and suspicious minds. But if we can treat each other as human beings, not treat each other like because somebody is different, you can take them and put them in cages, you can put them in a corner because they're telling you something you don't like to hear. Those are all things that have happened in human history. And it's also happened to me when I've reported things. They've taken me and they've put me to work in a corner at Teleperformance. And that's not fair to me. I'm an educated person just like everybody else working there. I'm an HR professional. I know what I'm doing. I'm credible. But instead of them listening to me, they took me and they put me in the corner to work. Because they want to dictate to me what they think I should be doing. And I'm like, no. You're like, I'm not here to drink your packet milk of hot chocolate. Like, stop treating me like a child. So those are basic examples that I can give. And also the process of decolonizing. It's happening now here in Canada. It's already happened in other places. So even renaming buildings, renaming streets, taking down statues in countries that were colonized, it had to happen because the colonizers treated everybody, including us, like we were animals, like we didn't have the ability to love, to think, to buy, to sell, to be educated. That's how we got treated. So the process of decolonizing has taken place. It's taken place in Africa, it's taken place in India, and now it's taking place in Canada. And you're seeing that with the indigenous people pushing back, looking for change, looking to take lands back. It's happening here. And even when we used to have our conferences before, they never used to have a period before where they used to say, we need to acknowledge that we are on colonized land, indigenous land. They do that now. So it's important to remember that, and to remember that those of us who came from disadvantaged backgrounds did not get any special treatment in Canada. We were not treated like we needed to get investment, financing for our education, for our career goals. We were not handheld. We were not given any special treatment. And things like that need to change because it's not fair to constantly put us into debt, not allow us to buy property, not allow us to come up, not allow us to have access to healthcare, to benefits, because the whites have the attitude of entitlement here. They're the colonizers. And so for them, it's very hard to let go of that. It's very hard because they want their children to have it. They don't want us to have it. But people are pushing back, and one of the ways people are pushing back is through conferences like this, through changing people's mindsets, and to say that, you know what, we are fully human, and you need to start treating us like we are fully human, not be condescending, not take us and put us in the corner, not constantly let us go, because in your opinion, our English is not good enough, but we're graduates of your top universities in Canada, in South Africa, in Britain. And it's a very hard shift for them. It's very difficult for them. So what they do is they make a joke out of it. They laugh. They say, oh yeah, there they go again, these graduates. But things are changing, and that's the hope I hold on to. I got treated better in England than I'm treated in Canada. That's what I can say. And yes, I was myself in England. And I try to be myself here, it doesn't work. So I just shut up, I do my job, and I go home. That's the only way I can keep a job here. And yet, I'm educated, I have ideas, I've improved things in the workplace, I know how to get things done, I know how to mentor, I know how to coach. I led Bono's team for him. And yet, where is my good paid job? Where is my HR director role? Some of those people that are sitting there that gave the presentations today came into Canada after me. They've got Indian accents, they've got accents from China or wherever. So why is it my accent is the problem, but theirs is not? And how come they are getting the opportunities to present for HRPA, to present for big conferences, and somebody like me, who put in years and years and years of work at HRPA, at the One campaign, in the church, how come we're not getting the opportunities? That's why I'm saying there's a hypocrisy in Canada, because people like me shouldn't be sinking into poverty. We shouldn't. So it's good to learn, but it's also good to bring your own experience to the table and your own experience of this country, because people need to know what's happening. And this is the truth, what I'm telling you.